Today I'm going to teach Robert how to play the violin, a beginning lesson. So, what we start out with is our bow, our neck rest, and the violin. Before we use the violin, we're going to talk about the bow. We're going to hold it at this end, the end that's more rectangular, and this end is more of a V pointy shape. And then this is our neck rest that's going to go on the bottom of the violin with the thick end sitting on our shoulder. Now with the bow, you want to make sure that you divided it up evenly. So if you want to put tape on it, you can, and you put one piece directly in the center of the bow, and then one piece about the middle between the middle of the bow and the end of the bow, and the same with the other end. Now with holding the bow, you have a few different ways you can hold it. Beginner players are going to want to have their thumb on the bottom and then wrap their hand around, so they put their two fingers right there and your other fingers like that, so you're stretched out. Make sure your thumb is on the bottom. So if you want to hold the violin, the bow,
This is not a violin.
I'll help you with that. So put your thumb, make sure it's on the bottom, yep. And then you want to wrap your other finger, that one you want to put right there, and your pinky you want to put there, and your middle and your ring finger you want to wrap around like that. Yeah. So that's the first way you can hold it. And then once you get good at that position, you eventually want to move your thumb up to in the middle, so like right in between the strings and the top of the bottom of the bow. Put it in the middle, and then still have your other fingers in the same position. So that is holding the bow. And when you take your bow out, you want to make sure that it's loose and it's not very tight, because it can break when it's in the case. And you can do it. When you take it out, you want to, this bottom part here, I'm going to tell you, you want to turn to the right, and that is going to make it not as loose. So keep going. Okay, that's good. And then once you're done with the bow, you want to turn it to the left to loosen it again. You never want to put it in the case when it's tight. So, violin, we have our little neck rest. So this just makes it easy, so it has something to rest on other than our shoulder. If you have long hair, you want to make sure it's not in the way. So, you can see this neck rest. You have a thicker part and a thinner part. You want to make sure that the thicker part is on your shoulder. So, when you put your violin, once you put it on your violin, you have something to rest on. So, you're gonna flip your violin over, and it has these little indents, and you're just gonna slide it right on the violin. Okay, now you can put it on. So make sure that this part is right on your shoulder. Is that comfortable?
Mm-hmm.
And then you also have this right here. You're gonna put your chin on there, like that.
Okay.
Now, you want to make sure when you're playing, you aren't holding it with your hand, and you also want to make sure that this hand isn't holding it either. You're holding it with your chin, like that. So see how he's just holding it? Okay, let go. Because if you're holding it with your hand's going to eventually get tired. You want to just let your chin and the neck rest hold it. And then with your hand, you never want to be like this. You always want to have your hand out like this. Okay, so you can go back to
the holding position.
Yep. Got it?
Yep.
Cool. Okay. So now you okay, you can let go. I'm gonna talk about the strings a little bit. So you have 4 strings. Your thickest strings are on this side, and your thinnest strings are on the other end. So you have your E string is your thickest, your A string, your D string, and then your G string. And you have these, other than the glare, you have 4 tape marks. Those are gonna help you figure out when you first start where your positioning should be on the actual neck, because you don't have, unlike a guitar neck, you don't have the things that go across to help you, the frets to go across to help you with figuring out where to place your fingers. So you want to make sure when you put the tape on, you can kind of listen. So once you have your first string on, your first piece of tape, you have to kind of listen to figure out where the second one goes, and then the third one, and then the fourth one. The fourth tape is going to be the same note as the next string. So with your E, you have it's not in tune right now, but it should be the same note. So that would be the same note. So when, like I said earlier, when you have it in this position, you should never be like this. So make sure that your hand is open like that so you can put it on. You don't want to have your wrist resting on the violin. So, yep, you can have your thumb like that, and then you kind of make like a snowball, like a fist, to have it be able to play the strings. So long nails are not good for this. So if you can find the first piece of tape on the E string, which is the thickest string, and then without using the bow yet, if you just go ahead, and this is what you do to pluck the string. You want to make like a crab finger, and you put your thumb right there and just like that. So make like this, like that, and then your thumb, and then yeah, yep. And you want to make sure you put enough pressure down with your left hand to make the note come out. Yep. And then you can put down your middle finger on the second piece of tape. Yep. Keep your other fingers down as well. Yep. And then your fourth one. There you go. Yeah. So, most people would just go to the second string, but sometimes it's easier to go to the fourth. So now, once you use your bowing, and do you want to I'll take the violin for a second, and you can, do you remember the, Good? Cool? So, you're going to want to put your violin, it's kind of like the corner of your chin, not your actual chin too.
Okay.
You can just hold it
Okay.
now.
Okay.
Got it?
Mm-hmm.
You want to make sure that more of your chin is on the chin rest, so like that.
Okay.
Cool?
Yeah.
So, now, with the violin, like I said with the tape, so usually you start with the middle piece of tape, the tape that's in the center, and you wanna, when you're first playing, you put the bow in between the bridge and the neck, so this space right here, and you wanna start so the tape is there, and you only wanna make sure most of the time you're playing one of the strings at a time, so you go to the first tape, back to the middle, and then to the bottom tape, and back to the middle. Yeah, so you can just do that a few times and get used to it. You want to make sure it's a steady pace so you don't get that crackly sound. And if you press too hard with the bow, sometimes you'll get that sound as well. And then you can go to the first tape, or on the bow, and down even more if you need to, so like keep going to the end if your arm is long enough. Or you could go back to the first, and then the middle, and then the bottom, and then the end of the bow if you need that extra room, and then back to the middle. Good. So once you add, you can just add your first finger, and I want you to bow out this way, and then back to the middle, and then add your second finger, and your third finger, and then I want you to take off your third finger and bow. Your first finger, or take off your middle finger so it's just your first finger, and then take off your first finger. Good. So you need to make sure that you stay in between these two, because if you go on the other side, you aren't going to get anything. Or if you go up here, you aren't going to get the same sound either. And also another thing to keep aware of when you're bowing is you want to make sure that your bow is always in the center, never on the side of it, because you won't get the same sound. Now, we can do all the way, we can start at that, go all the way to the first tape and back, and put a finger down each time. So all the way down, all the way up, first finger down, all the way down, all the way up, third finger, and take off your fourth finger, take off your third finger, take off your second. Good. Okay, so that's all that we'll do with the violin. Now with violin music, once you have a piece of music, sometimes you'll see an arrow, or like, it kind of looks like an accent almost, so it's just going to be a triangle without the bottom. Or you'll have like a bracket, so that's going to be meaning different ways that you need to bow. So I like to think of it, when you see the triangle, you want to bow up, like the triangle at the top, and when you see the bracket, you want to go down with the bow, like the bracket at the end. That's just because sometimes when you're playing, you need to go up twice instead of just going like this. So that is the basics of a violin.